Alright guys, welcome back to the channel where I sit with you every single week and we stack Bitcoin together. This video guys, I'm going to go through exchange fees. How much are you spending on exchanges every single time you buy Bitcoin? I did a breakdown on 6 different exchanges, some of the most popular ones that I know of here in the US: Swan, Strike, River, Kraken, Coinbase, and Gemini, and I show you the exact fee breakdown for each one. Okay. This sheet here is an actual example of what it looks like if you're doing a weekly investment of $200 into each of these exchanges. But before I get into that, I want to show you guys the fee structure of each exchange so you guys can kind of understand this part a little bit better and see how much you're actually spending every single month on fees. It's actually it was pretty eye-opening for me. I'm going to change my exchange after doing this breakdown, and I'll show you exactly why here in a bit. But let's get into the fee structure for each one of these so you guys can start to understand how this works for each of these exchanges. Okay, so you'll see here, and I'm sorry this isn't the most beautiful sheet, but I just want to get you guys the information super clearly. Okay, so you'll see here there is 5 different columns here showing you exactly how fees are broken down for each exchange. So the first thing you'll see here is deposit fee, which is basically you sending money from your bank to the exchange. Now, if you're doing a standard ACH deposit, there is no fee for that. Okay, if you're doing a wire deposit or an instant send, which is unnecessary, there's no need to do any of that. There is a charge, and it's just dependent on your bank, right? But when it comes to the exchange, when it comes to Swan, it is free. Okay. Same thing with withdrawal fees. If you're withdrawing your cash from the exchange back to your bank account, if you're doing a standard ACH, there is no fee. But if you're doing an instant or a wire, there will be some kind of fee involved depending on your bank. Now, that's going to be standard across the board. There will be no fees for deposits or for withdrawals for any of these exchanges as we go through this sheet. So you'll see that. So if you are getting charged currently at an exchange that you're using, I recommend not using that exchange anymore, right? Because there are a ton of exchanges that do not charge any fees for deposits or for withdrawals. Okay, so going forward, I'm not going to go into these 2 columns anymore because it is standard across the board. But the most important fees are going to be these here. These are the ones that are going to change from exchange to exchange. Okay, so first things first is this is the trading fee, and the trading fee is every time you do a buy or a sell with an exchange, basically for using their platform, they're going to charge you a fee. And so in the case of Swan, they charge 1%. But what's cool about Swan is they remove that fee for the first $10,000 worth of buys. Okay, so for the first $10,000 worth of purchases through Swan, you do not have that 1% fee. Thereafter, they do implement that 1% fee. But it is a really cool little program so that you don't have that charge. Okay. Then there's this spread markup fee, which is basically just an industry standard fee every time you put in a buy. There is some kind of fee that is based off of the price of Bitcoin, and I believe the price of the buy that you do, and then whatever that spread is, they charge a percentage. I'm not 100% sure how it works, but it is industry standard that every single exchange has this kind of spread markup fee, and it varies depending on, again, the price of Bitcoin, the price of your buy. I'm sure there's a ton of other variables that I just don't know about, but usually the standard is somewhere between 0.1% and 1%. Okay. For the sake of fairness across all the exchanges, I put just a 1% spread markup across all of the exchanges. I want to also look at the worst case scenario, right? So that's why I put 1%, so you guys can see what's the worst case. How much should I be spending in the worst case scenario on fees based off of all of these things, right? So that's the spread markup fee. In the case of Swan, again, I'm putting 1%. So you guys can see what the worst case scenario would be. And then there's this on-chain send fee. What that means is when you're sending Bitcoin from the exchange to your personal wallet, right, whether it's hot, cold, whatever, there is a network fee, right? That's the miner fee on chain, right? So in the case of Swan actually covers that miner fee. So they'll pay for that miner fee. There's a lot of exchanges that don't do that. Swan does. They will cover the miner fee so that you don't have to cover it. So it's actually free. So really, really a great exchange. It seems like I haven't used Swan. I'm going to look more into it, but very limited fees from what I'm seeing. Just basically this spread markup fee for the first $10,000, and then thereafter it's the 1%. So that's the fee structure for Swan. Let me jump into Strike here and show you guys this one. So again, same thing with deposit and wire withdrawals. I'm sorry, not wire withdrawals, but just withdrawal fees in general. They are free as long as you do an ACH standard, right? Now, when it comes into the trading fees, depending on the amount that you're trading every single month, Strike basically has like a volume discount fee. So the more you trade or the higher the monthly trading volume, the less fee you'll pay, all right? In the case of what we're doing on this channel, right, where we're doing basically DCAing and we're doing weekly buys, they actually have a no fee for DCA. So if you're doing consistent buys or recurring buys on their exchange, they will waive the fees. So it says right here, the waiving of fees of recurring purchases after the first week does not apply to businesses, but they do have, here we go, right here. And starting with the second purchase for weekly and monthly purchases, they'll basically, fees are waived for those buys. So they're waiving fees as long as you're doing recurring buys on their exchange. So that's really awesome. No fee is needed. Unlike Swan, where they have a limit, they say after 10,000 buys, we will need to charge you the trading fee. Strike does not have that. So as long as you're doing recurring fees, you have no, as long as you're doing recurring buys, you have no fees. Okay. So really cool there. And then again, there's a spread markup fee. I'm marking a 1% for this across all these exchanges. And then the on-chain send fee, you have a, for Strike, it is also covered by them as long as you do a flexible send, which basically just means it's the lowest priority send on chain. So your transaction will actually take a little longer to complete. You know, I would think maximum 30 minutes. It shouldn't take longer than that. But as long as you do that, it'll be no charge on the fee. And I don't see any problem with doing that. Actually, that seems pretty great. So you can go ahead and do that to avoid a fee sending on chain. Now, if you do just a standard send or a priority send, they will charge you the miner fee, but I don't think there's need for that. If you could do the flexible send and wait a little longer, you might as well if there's no fee for that. Okay. So really, really cool. Strike basically covers that fee for you. Now let's jump into River. Okay, again with the withdrawals and deposits, we're all good there. They're free. The trading fee for River is recurring buys. They have 0%. So really amazing. No charges on the fees. Or on the buys, I apologize. On the buys, there is 0% fee as long as you're doing recurring. Kind of similar to Strike, as long as you're buying consistently on their exchange, they will waive the trading fee. Then there's the spread markup fee, which again we'll put here at 1%. And then the on-chain send fee, you do pay in the case of River, you do cover that network miner fee. Okay, they want to make sure that you're covering that fee, and they'll charge up to 3% max of the total. Okay, so just basically you are spending a miner fee here for River. Now we get into Kraken, and they do a 1% fee on all buys and sells. All right, really straightforward. This is incorrect. I double checked that. There's no need for this, but they do a 1% fee on all buys and sells. Pretty straightforward. Spread markup fee. This is a spread fee not confirmed. I'm putting this again at 1%. They all take that. So it's basically a 1% trading fee and a 1% spread. And then they have a standard flat fee for withdrawals of $1.65. Which is fine. You know, that's a standard fee. It doesn't vary depending on the network congestion. So no matter how many people are using the blockchain at the moment, you're going to have a standard fee of $1.65, which helps them be more competitive, right? In comparison to exchanges that don't have that, because exchange fees can get as high as $2.50. But on the other hand, they can go as low as 50 cents, 25 cents. So they do just have a standard fee, flat fee across the board of $1.65. So that is Kraken. And then we get into Gemini. Same thing. We have free for deposits and withdrawals. Gemini is a bit expensive. So they have a trading fee of 2.49%. Okay, so it's 1.49% fee just for trading, buying, and selling, and then 1% convenience fee. What that means is if you're doing an instant buy, which is why I always tell you guys, don't put instant buys, just do custom buys to avoid these type of things, convenience fees and things like this. They charge you more, right? So at that case, you're getting paid 2.49% for that fee or for that buy. And then for limit orders, they remove that convenience fee, and it's just a 1.49% fee. Okay, but they are the most expensive one that I've found in comparison to all the other ones, where the trading fee is about 1% or none at all if you're doing recurrings, right? Then you have a spread markup fee, which is also 1%. This should be 1%, not 1 to 2. Which I've also added there. And then you also pay the minor fee. There is no markup, but you do pay a minor fee here as well. So kind of an expensive exchange for Gemini, and you'll see that in the breakdown. Then you have Coinbase, and again, sorry guys, I made a couple mistakes here. Put Coinbase there. Same thing with the deposit and the withdrawals. Then you have a trading fee of up to 2% for simple buys. Again, that has to do with if you're not placing custom orders and you're doing instant buys, they're going to charge you up to 2%. This is why I always tell you guys, don't do that. Put a limit order, do a custom buy, and make sure that you take advantage of that so you don't get all these charges, right? You don't want these up charges. So it's 2% for simple buys, and then 0.4% for custom orders, which is pretty good. It's actually less than all the other ones that are, somewhere at, 1%. Then we've got that spread markup fee. Again, we've got it set at 1%. And then you also do pay the minor fee on Coinbase. Okay. So that's kind of the fee structure for each one of these exchanges that we want to look at when we're looking at our monthly buys. All right, so let me walk you through this sheet so you guys can understand how this works. So if we're looking at Swan, again, we have that ACH deposit, which is $0. These are free for ACH deposits from the bank to the exchange. ACH withdrawals, in the case that we're doing one, they're also free. Now we have the Swan trading fee. Again, it's at 0% for the first 10,000 buys. Then we have the 1% spread fee, right? Which again, I've set this at the worst case scenario. It could be as low as 0.15, 0.10%. But in this case, I'm putting it at the worst case scenario so you guys can see potentially how much you could be spending on an exchange. So I put this at 1%. So in this case, the weekly trading fee cost is $0, right? So trading fee. The weekly spread fee is $2 because we're taking 1% of this $200 weekly investment. Our monthly trading fee, so the trading fee every single month is $0. Our monthly spread fee is $8. It's just basically the $2 times 4. And so our total monthly fees when you take the monthly trading fee and the monthly spread fee is $8. Okay. Then we've got withdrawal fees at 0. Remember, Swan is covering that minor fee, so you don't have to worry about that. So we have $0 on the total withdrawal. So a total fees of $8. Okay. That is for the first $10,000 worth of buys on Swan. So really, really good low fees on Swan. Okay. So that means that, out of $800 a month that you're buying Bitcoin, of that $800, only $8 is going towards fees, and the rest is going towards Bitcoin. So you're really optimizing the amount of Bitcoin that you're buying, which is the idea, guys. We want to make sure that we're minimizing these fees, cutting our costs, and finding ways to optimize our Bitcoin buys. Okay. So with Swan, you can really do that. Okay. Now with Strike, same thing. We've got a 0% trading fee for recurring buys. This is assuming we're doing recurrings. Then we've got that 1% spread fee. And then again, it goes all the way down. We do not have withdrawal fees with strike, they are covering that as long as we do flexible sends. And so you're looking at $8. All right. Again, really, really good. So Strike is a great exchange, it seems to me. I have not used Swan or Strike. I do like Jack Mallers a lot. He is the CEO and founder of Strike, and I think he is an incredible asset to this space. And so I am very interested in getting into Strike and start working with testing that exchange, see how user friendly it is. So I'll probably do the next video will be through Strike, so you guys can see how that works. Okay, so then now we look at River. River again is at 0% for recurring buys. We have a 1% fee. So again, that breaks down to basically $8 in total monthly fees for buys as long as we're doing recurring. There is a minor fee, right? The minor fee, I put it here as the worst case scenario, would be $2.50 for every withdrawal. So the total fees would be $10.50, okay? This is assuming we're withdrawing once a month, okay? So total fees, $10.50 for this this exchange. So a little bit worse than Swan and Strike, but still not bad considering the trading fee is 0%. Now let's look at Kraken. Kraken again has trading fee of 1%, a spread fee of 1%. So then when we start to look at it across everything, we have total monthly fees of $16. They have a flat fee of $1.65. So ultimately every month we're spending $17.65 on fees. Okay. And guys, as you start to do higher investments, that goes up, right? So I want to show you guys, if I put this at 300, which is about what I do every single month, every single week on this channel, it's about $25.65. I double checked that against the sheet that I have that I use here weekly, and that is about right. So I spent last month, it was like $22.45. So it's about right how much we're spending here. I'm assuming that my spread fee was probably a little bit lower. That's why it was at $22, but $25.65 is about right. So, these numbers are pretty accurate for considering which exchange to use. Okay, so that's Kraken, $17.65. It's more than double Swan and Strike. That adds up over time, guys. So again, I'm probably going to move out of Kraken and start using one of these going forward. Then guys, there's Coinbase. Okay, Coinbase has 0.4% in trading fee, 1% spread fee. When it's all said and done, you have the minor fee as well at $2.50. Again, I'm taking the worst case scenario for minor fees. So $2.50. It ends up being $13.70. So it's not terrible. It's not worse than Kraken. But you got to keep in mind a couple things, right? Coinbase here, we're using the custom buy, right? We're assuming that whoever's doing this is doing a custom order, and they're not doing a simple buy or just buying at the moment, right? If they buy at the moment, they have a 2% trading fee. That changes this drastically, right? So now you're spending $26.50 every single month just on fees. So again, guys, that's the importance of doing custom limit order buys so that you avoid these type of things with the exchanges. And then lastly, we have Gemini here, which has a trading fee of 1%, spread fee of 1%, and a minor fee of $2.50, which ultimately is the most expensive exchange that I could find. So when I'm looking at these, Swan and Strike are the cheapest. Swan is cheapest for the first 10,000. Once you put that 1% fee in place, it becomes more expensive than even Coinbase. I would recommend just starting with Strike, having your recurring buys set, and then just having these low fees, right? So that way you don't have to worry about changing later out of Swan. Because initially I was considering, well, I'll do the first 10,000 buys through Swan and then I'll just switch over to Strike. But when I read that Strike had free recurring buys, it's just better off to do with Strike. start with Strike and just keep going with Strike. So, yeah, when looking at this cohesively, right, when we're looking at all these exchanges, Strike seems to be the best exchange in terms of fees. Secondly would be Swan, if for those first 10,000, but then it's River right thereafter. Okay, so Strike, River, Swan, these three are I think the top tier exchanges when it comes to reducing fees, which is very important. Okay, and then from there you've got Coinbase, which I'll be honest with you, I am a little biased against Coinbase. I've used Coinbase in the past. It was very difficult. They stopped my buying for some reason a few times. They just halted my buys, which was very frustrating. I've never had that issue with any other exchange other than Coinbase, so I'm not a fan. If you like Coinbase, more power to you. Go for it. Their fees are not terrible. They are better than Kraken and Gemini. But going forward, I would recommend something like Swan, Strike, or River instead of Kraken, Coinbase, or Gemini. Okay, Gemini, I would just say don't even get in there. I used Gemini early on, and I noticed pretty quickly that the exchange fees were way higher. That's when I moved over to Kraken. Actually, back then I moved over to Binance. And then Binance closed down in the US, and then I moved over to Kraken. So, yeah, I would recommend looking into Swan, Strike, or River going forward. I'm going to start using probably Strike on this channel so you guys can see how that works. But, yeah, guys, that's the exchange fee breakdown. It's very important to consider this type of stuff, guys, because fees will eat into your Bitcoin buys. And the idea here is we want to stack as much as we can as we go. And we want to avoid these fees. I'm honestly very surprised at how expensive Kraken is in comparison to these other exchanges. That's why it was important for me as well to do this breakdown. And you'll be surprised, guys. I've been in Bitcoin for almost 6 years now, since early 2020. I've never done this breakdown like this. Actually, this channel is forcing me to do some things that doing more homework and more digging. And so a lot of people that have been in Bitcoin for a long time do not even know this, right? They have not done the homework or the research to look at how much these exchanges are eating away at their buys every single week and every single month. So I hope you guys take this information, use it for your advantage, check out these exchanges and see what works best for you. I want to be very clear also, I do not have any affiliates with any of these exchanges. I do not have any biases towards any exchanges, except really, if I'm being honest, Coinbase, just because I had a bad experience in the past. But I do not get paid or anything from any of these exchanges. It's just my honest opinion, and the honest opinion of and the numbers, right? The numbers don't lie. The breakdown is there. Swan, Strike, and River seem to be the best ones. So going forward, I'll be using that, and we'll see how it goes. All right, guys. All right, guys, have a great one. Thank you so much, and I will see you later this week for our next Bitcoin.